to Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. Hi, I'm Devora Krasnianski, and I've been coaching women for a long time in all areas of life, including women in midlife. Midlife is an exciting time, but it's also confusing, and so I invite experts to join me here as we unpack this crazy and interesting time of our lives. You can join our conversations on our Facebook group, Jewish Women Talk About Midlife, and on our website, Jewish Midlife. And in this episode, I spoke with Rena Yudkowsky, a memory coach, about memory issues and brain fog and what we can do all about it. Have you ever felt difficulty focusing on a task or recalling important information, like forget why you came to the fridge, or forgot where you left your keys, or lost your train of thought in the middle of a sentence? If so, you may have experienced brain fog or memory issues. These can be so frustrating and impact your daily life. And so in this episode, we explore those causes of brain fog and memory issues, including stress, lack of sleep, and medical conditions. And we also provide practical tips and strategies to help you overcome these challenges and improve your cognitive function. Join us as we discuss this important topic and help you regain mental clarity and focus. Enjoy. Good morning, Rena. I'm so excited about this topic. When I started talking about Jewish Women Talk About Midlife, and I asked people what they want to talk about, of course, there's many topics, but memory and brain fog is one of the big ones. So I'm so excited that we were able to talk together this morning about this important topic. But before we even get started, could you talk a little bit about the work that you do in this field? Because it's fascinating what I'm seeing on your website.
Yeah, thank you so much, Devora. So I'm Rena Yudkowsky. I am a geriatric social worker and memory coach, and I'm the CEO of Memory Matters, and I teach online memory improvement courses. Well, I say for midlifers and seniors, it really doesn't matter what the age is. It's anyone who wants to improve their memory. And over the years, I've worked a lot with seniors with dementia, and I became very fascinated by memory, like what makes memory work? And then like when it doesn't work, like why? And over the past like 25 years in the field, thank God research has come a long way, and we understand a lot more about brain and neurology. And actually there's a lot of good, really powerful research that I'll share with you also, that we really can do a lot to age more gracefully and confidently and healthfully. So that's the good news. So when I lived in America, I actually was the head of an Alzheimer's unit in an assisted living facility in Baltimore. And then when I moved here to Israel, I did a lot of interesting things in the field, but I was working a lot with dementia. And then I took this course on memory, and I was blown away. It was by a cognitive psychologist. I actually did it in Hebrew. And after that, I was like, you know what? I want to teach in English, people to help improve their memory. Like, I feel like this is something I can give. I feel passionate about it. I love working with seniors, obviously. And then I put together my own course based on that course that I'd done in Hebrew. And it was all about techniques. I made it more practical. I wanted to add in more techniques, really help people with the everyday occurrences, like what did I come to the fridge for? Where did I put my glasses? And did I lock my door? Did I turn off my stove? How do I make sure I turned off my stove? Like the just everyday stuff that happens to all of us. And it does not have to be dementia. And we'll talk about what that is. So I worked in the field in a lot of interesting ways, but I put together this course. I was teaching it for Yad Sarah, Shari Tzedek. It's called the Geriatric Institute of Yad Sarah. And then I decided, like about 3.5 years ago, I want to go online. I want to put this online because I know that we can reach a lot more people that way. And I did it right in time for COVID, which was amazing, Siyata Dishmaya, because all the seniors in the whole world, all of us went online and all the organizations that were doing programming for, well, I'm going to say seniors, but I mean, we'll call it midlifers and seniors. Really everything went online. And so I was in the right place at the right time. I ended up not just putting my course online, I ended up doing webinars all over the world, from Boca Raton to England to Passaic to Jerusalem, doing lots of webinars for senior groups that needed programming. And I work with one-on-one with seniors doing memory coaching. And I teach my courses, and I made a membership called Remembership, all sorts of fun, interesting things, but it's one goal. The goal is to help people improve their memory as we age.
Wow. So that's so exciting. So I'm really glad we're talking. So let's talk about why our memory starts going, or does it really start going, or what's really going on for us physiologically that our memory feels like it's going.
Right. So here's the thing. The minute we forget something, we panic, right? Whether you're 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, it doesn't matter even what age you are. we panic, we go, oh no, what's happening to me? And then fear sets in, right? This fear of like, oy. And first of all, I want to reassure most people that do not assume you have dementia just because you forgot why you came to the fridge. Okay. There are a lot of things that cause dementia. Dementia is a process that happens over a long time. People deteriorate. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but it's not the second you forget something, you have dementia. Okay. That's number one. Number two, what most likely is happening at the age that we're talking about is a focus issue, right? A lot of us sort of become ADD, except we don't really become ADD. We become what feels like ADD. We sort of try to juggle a lot. One of the myths I'll talk about is multitasking. I think we find ourselves doing a lot of multitasking, right? Between the kids, work, parents, community, exercise, everything we're trying to do, right? And we end up we end up actually tripping up our brains when we try to multitask. So what's happening is we're blaming our memory on what's really a focus issue. So I come to the fridge, I open up the fridge and I say, what did I come for? That's not really a memory problem. It's a focus problem, because what happened? I had the thought, I need the milk from the fridge. And then what happened? The phone rang, the doorbell rang, a kid called my name, or I had a lot of thoughts. They say we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. I've seen that research. And so all those thoughts are going through our head. So you get to the fridge, you open up the fridge and you go, what did I come here for? And then you go, oh no, my memory, but it's not memory. So you have so many internal or external distractions because you were trying to do so many things. So the next time something like that happens to you, first of all, take a deep breath. Your brain needs oxygen, okay? And then take another deep breath. So that's the first thing you do, is you breathe. The second thing you say is, did I even pay attention to this in the first place? So when you misplace your keys or your glasses or your pocketbook or your credit card, or you forget it somewhere, quote unquote, forget it, I want you to stop and say, did I even pay attention to this in the first place? And what you'll probably realize is that there was no encoding process. Encoding means getting it from short-term memory to long-term memory, where it's stored, right? But if you didn't even do that in the first place, you're not going to be able to find it. If you didn't put it in the right file, you can't pick a piece of paper out of a file if you didn't put it in there, right?
Right.
So you have to encode it properly first. So when you say, I don't remember where I put my keys, I don't believe that you don't remember. I believe that you didn't even pay attention to where you put your keys, because you were doing it while you were on the phone, while you were talking to a kid, while you were putting your pocketbook down, while you were thinking about what you're making for supper, et cetera, et cetera. So we're blaming our memory on what's really focused. So now focus. So what are we going to do about that? And I want to give you some techniques for that, because that's what it's very helpful and practical. Before I do that, I want to say one more thing. There are a lot of things that could be causing brain fog if I'm 50 or 55 or whatever age we're talking about, there are many things that could be causing brain fog. It could be hormones. It could be lack of sleep. It could be a lack of vitamin B. Sleep is major. Sleep is a major one. It's hard. It gets hard to sleep at this age, right? I'm sure a lot of people out there are feeling that. I hear it all the time. So lack of sleep is huge. Vitamins are huge. Stress. Anyone have no stress, right? No stress. Stress, chronic exposure to stress shrinks our hippocampus. Our hippocampus is what's in charge of memory and learning. We don't want our hippocampus shrinking, but when we and a lot of times it's not in our control, but what is in our control is how we manage that stress, right? What we do with it. Do we allow it to really get to us and then our brain's going to be affected? Or do we have really good coping mechanisms? I'm sure you talk about this all the time. The exercise, going out in the sun, yoga, meditation. These are all really, really amazing things to help handle the stress. So what I'm saying is that there can be many causes to your memory issues. Let's call it like that, memory issues. As we get older, I just mentioned a few of them. There could be infection. There could be COVID, long COVID. A lot of people are experiencing brain fog with long COVID. There's many reasons, and I go through this in one of my courses. So as you're aging, it's really important to have a good doctor that can help you sort this out, right? If you have a vitamin B deficiency, that is so easy to fix. And I've had people tell me, as soon as they got their vitamin B shots, they got better. Their brain fog cleared up. I've had people say, as soon as they could figure out the sleep piece, wow, like they just feel like a human being again because they were able to sleep. And I don't take it for granted. There are many things that could help with sleep. There are many things that hinder our sleep. It's a whole puzzle, but it's important to find the right doctors that could help us figure out some of these issues, because it really is not fun to walk around with brain fog. Long COVID is a big issue. I'm dealing with that a lot with some of my clients and students and customers, or patients, whatever you want to call them. No easy answers, but the things that help us live a more healthy lifestyle are what helps the long COVID as well. So it's the exercise, eating healthy, sleeping. It's all the lifestyle factors that are going to help us age more healthfully. I just needed to throw that in there because I don't want people to think like there's something wrong with them or it's not fixable or treatable. There's so many pieces that are fixable and treatable when it comes to brain fog. And so it's important to sort of try to get to the bottom of it. And if it's really bothering you, don't just ignore it. Don't just put up with it. Like, there are things you can do to feel better. Vitamin B is easy. Vitamin D is easy. Vitamin D is very important for our brain function. Omega-3s are very important for our brain function. It's easy to either take omega-3 or eat fish if you like fish. There's just a lot of things that we can do to help ourselves feel better. And we don't have to walk around feeling in a daze all day. So I just wanted to put in that plug for that because I think that's important. But really what I want to do is give you some techniques. Do you have any questions so far?
So I just want to say that sometimes we thought that we were doing so well all these years, right, and we were able to not eat so well or not exercise so well, and we still function very well. And all of a sudden it's catching up with us. So yes, maybe you were able to up to a point. And I'm finding that, and a lot of people that I'm speaking to, is that they're realizing that it's catching up with them. So now it's really time. If you weren't exercising till now, if you weren't eating healthy till now, you weren't having good sleep hygiene till now, it's really catching up, and it's time to look through your lifestyle just to start. And then, of course, you can do your blood work. I mean, your vitamin D, B12, those all show up.
Yes, yes. Yes, absolutely. And right, like you said, we can get away with it when we're younger, or we think we can get away with it, but it catches up with us. And also sometimes it's years of not sleeping well. Like some people chronically for like 20 years didn't sleep well. It's going to catch up with you. But what's important is like the self-care piece. Like a lot of us sort of like ignore all those issues, right, for a while because we're busy taking care of the kids and raising the kids and marrying off the kids, that we sort of like don't pay attention. And then it like hits you and it's like, oh my gosh, I have this terrible brain fog. What happened? And it's like, this is years of either, I don't want to say neglect, but yes, it's time to start exercising and taking care of yourself and focusing on your health. And in the 40s and 50s is really the good time to work on the preventive stuff, because they say that the dementias, the different types of dementias actually start in the brain many decades before it actually shows up and before it gets diagnosed. What does that mean? It means that it's a very slow oxidative process. When I say oxidative, think rust on a bike. Right? Rust on a bike doesn't decay the bike in one day. It's a slow process. So the same thing with oxidation on our brain, which is what these, dementias are. It also has a lot to do with inflammation. We're learning now that it has a lot to do with inflammation. They're saying Alzheimer's is like another form of inflammation. There's inflammatory markers. So the point is that it's never too early to eat healthy and exercise. And it's also not too late. Like you don't say, okay, I'm 50, that's it. There's nothing I could do. No, if you haven't been taking care of yourself till now, now's a good time.
And sometimes these are the things that kind of help us realize before we're really in a real, like stuck deep in dementia. It's like these little hints are coming along at this point in our age. Yeah. It's like start taking care of yourself. You're gonna feel it immediately. I mean, more or less immediately. Once you start exercising, you stop feeling better in some areas, and it's also for long-term health. So I think that it's like little hints from God saying, take care of yourself, take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And what I like to quote this from Jim Quick. He says, when your body moves, your brain grooves, right? Grooves means grows, right? When your body moves, your brain grooves. So one of the best things you could do is go for a walk in the sun, or get up and do jumping jacks, or just get moving. Like, we're all very sedentary in front of these computers, and that's also a result of COVID, but we need to get moving, because when you exercise, it grows your brain cells. It produces BDNF, which is the growth factor in the brain. It's a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factors, and it grows your brain. So, I mean, we know that exercise also makes us feel better, our mood. We know obviously that it's good for the body, but what I'm saying is that it actually grows your brain cells, which is really cool.
All right, so let's talk about some things that we can do to help our focus.
Yeah. So focus, back to focus, focus on focus. Okay. I actually have four techniques. I do a webinar called What Did I Come to the Fridge For? And there are four techniques, but I'm going to share two of them with you today. And if you're curious about the other two, you can get in touch with me. So number one is multitasking, which I alluded to earlier. So we grew up thinking that if I could write an email and and print something out and talk on the phone all at the same time, we're very productive, right? And efficient. But what they've come to realize, and by studying this, is that it trips up our brain and makes us less creative when we try to multitask. And it makes us feel more stressed. And it temporarily lowers our IQ by 15 points, which is very interesting. So when they went into the workplace and they were like studying this, they saw that people that multitask made double the amount of mistakes. So you think you're so good at writing that email, printing something out, and talking on the phone at the same time, but when you look back at that email, you might have made a mistake typing. Or when you were talking, maybe you didn't catch a detail the person said that was important. So what I'm saying is that multitasking is a myth. And if we want to feel calmer, more centered, and actually remember what we're doing, the first thing, and it's quote unquote easy to do because it doesn't take anything else, is stop multitasking as much as possible. Now I know people always say to me, but I'm too busy. I can't, Rena, I can't. So no problem. But if you want a really good panacea to feel more centered, feel more calm, and get more accomplished, and have your brain feel much more intact, stop multitasking whenever possible. Yes, there are times in our life where we have a lot coming at us and we need to do this, and this. Sometimes, but not always. We can't always live like that because it trips up our brain, makes us less creative, makes us feel stressed, etc. So it's like when you're always online, you're always distracted. Like when I have like 5 windows open to my computer and I'm going back and forth, I'm wasting time. I'm wasting fractions of seconds clicking through the windows, right? Same thing with our brain. When we try to do so many things at once, we're wasting fractions of seconds. Our brains don't actually multitask. It's really, our brains are what's called a sequential processor, which means we take an information and we process it in a sequence, like one after another. And we think very quickly, but not at the same like split second. So yes, I can chew gum and walk at the same time because that doesn't take a lot of cognition. Chewing gum and walking doesn't take a lot of cognition. Or people say, well, I could wash dishes and listen to a shear at the same time. You could. But if I test you on the details of that shear, are you going to remember everything? I don't think so. If you're washing dishes versus sitting and listening or sitting and taking notes. So you can do 2 things at once, but it depends how much do you want to remember and how much cognition do those tasks take of you. So it's interesting because they've also done a lot of research with cell phones while, talking on cell phones while driving. And of course, we know it's very dangerous. They say talking on cell phones while driving is like driving while drunk. It's the equivalent of driving while drunk. Why? Because where's your brain? Your brain is not driving. Your brain is talking to someone virtually. Like even if you're on speaker, which in most places it's illegal to hold it, but it's not illegal to talk on speaker. But it should be, because when I'm on speaker, I'm still imagining that person virtually. As opposed to when someone's in my car right next to me and I'm driving and they're talking to me, it's not a virtual conversation because the person's there. So that doesn't take as much brain power as talking on the phone. But what happens when I'm driving and someone's sitting next to me talking to me and I'm not sure where to go? Let's say I don't know whether to turn right or left here. What do I say to that person? I say, wait, shh, 1 second. I need to concentrate, right? So there's a reason that there's such a heavy fine. I mean, I know here in Israel, it's 1,000 shekel and 8 points on your license for talking on a cell phone while driving. Because it's really dangerous, because your brain cannot actually do those 2 things at once. We think we can, we pretend we can, we do it all the time, but really it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And that's why there's such a high. So as much as possible, we want to stop multitasking. You want to do 1 task at a time, finish it, go on to the next task. Now, again, there are times in our life where we have to do a bunch at a time, or like Friday morning, we're not going to like boil eggs, sit there and watch it boil and not do anything else, right? We're going to do something else. But if you try to do too many things, or if you go answer the door, what's going to happen to those eggs? Your mind was what we call, right? Your mind you get distracted. So it's not really a memory issue, because you can't hold so much in working memory. Working memory is just a couple seconds, a couple things. So if you leave your kitchen and there's eggs boiling, you either need to put a timer on, or you need to go right back in the kitchen after you answer the door. you can't go on to something else, then you're already, that's it. You're done. You're past the eggs boiling. You're on to the next 10 tasks. So what I tell people to do is either put on a timer or don't leave the kitchen. But people also have systems in place when they make Shabbos, when they do different things, where it's a system. People that are organized and they have a system, organization and memory goes hand in hand, right? So people say with their keys are always in the same place. We call it a makom kavua, right? A set place. If your keys are always, always, always in the same place, then you're not going to ever lose them. Yes, you have to remember to put them there, but that's, again, where organization and consistency will help your memory and focus. So if your keys are always in the same place, you don't even have to focus on where they are. They're just always there. But you have to be consistent about putting them there. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about where you put things. How are you going to remember where you put your keys, your phone, your credit card? Let's just do keys, because you walk in the house, you put your keys down, and you go on. Now, where's your brain? If your brain's in Honolulu and your hand put your keys down, then your brain and your body were not in the same place. There was no encoding of that act, task, or memory, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to, I always go like this, you need to align your body and your brain. So my brain has to be exactly where my hands are putting my keys down. And I'm going to use my senses. The more senses you use to encode a memory, the more likely it is you'll remember it. So when I put those keys down, I'm going to watch my hand now. I'm going to use my eyes, and I'm going to hear the clink of the keys on my coffee table. So I'm going to hear it. And I'm going to say out loud, I have now put my keys on the coffee table. Okay, it's really simple. I have now locked the door. I have now turned off the stove. I'll go through those examples. And when you say it out loud, you heard yourself say it. You're using your auditory to encode the memory. So in 10 minutes or an hour or 3 hours, you say, oh my gosh, where are my keys? Oh, I know. I remember watching my hand put them down. I remember hearing the clank of the keys on my coffee table. And I remember saying out loud, I have put my keys on the coffee table. It takes 2 seconds, but what we're doing is we're bringing all our attention to that and using our senses. The more senses you use to encode it, the more likely it's going to be there when you want it. This is a very easy, practical way that really, really works. I'll tell you a story. I taught this on one of the I've done these webinars all over the world. And one of the ladies said, every night I go upstairs and I'm ready for bed. And then I get into bed and I can't remember if I locked my door. And every night I have to go back down the stairs and check my door. And it's like, it's driving me crazy. She said, I just can't live like this. It's driving me crazy. So I gave her this technique. And then she got back to me later and said, that's it. I did it. And I did not have to go back downstairs to check my door, whether I locked it or not. I was like, it's such a silly, simple thing, but it's a quality of life issue. It was a quality of life issue for that every night you have to go back downstairs and check her door. So same thing with the door. If you want to know whether you locked your door or not, you're going to watch your hand turn it. You're going to feel the key. Is it cold? Is it hot? You're going to look at the key ring. You're going to hear the click of the door. You're going to hear the door slam shut. And then you're going to say out loud, I have now locked my door. And you walk away, and you're not on your phone, right? Because we're not multitasking. Because if you're on your phone, you are not going to remember doing that task. So you walk away, and again, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Did I lock my door? Yes, I know I did, because I remember feeling the key. I remember hearing the door slam. I remember saying out loud, I have now locked my door. It's so simple. What are we doing? We're bringing our attention to the task for just a few seconds, and we're making the intention to remember. My intention is to remember, and therefore I am paying attention to my hand locking the door, my eyes watching, my ears listening, and saying it out loud. It's very practical, very helpful.
I love the idea of the intention to remember. It's like sort of going to the parking lot, and like in the airport where you're going to be there for like leaving the car for a couple of days, and like you're just parking because you finally found a spot. But like really, how am I going to remember where I'm parked? So some of the parking lots don't do so well with the letters and the colors and the numbers. And if you remember you're next to the big Jeep, well, the big Jeep may not be there.
Right, right.
So, so attention to remember, I know that I've actually taken the videos of where the car was parked, so I can kind of remember. So those kind of things I'm also finding that are really important. Or like similar to what you said, is like when I put my phone down in the kitchen, I only put it on the windowsill. That's the only place I put it. So like I more or less don't forget where I put it.
Yeah.
Of course I can call it, but that takes time. So I know I only put it on the windowsill. Like I'm starting to really be very intentional about where I put things and noticing that I'm putting it there.
Yes. Yes. And I'll give you another way to help you notice where you put it. And this is using our power of visualization. Our minds think in pictures. And we can harness our power of visualization to help us remember. So when I put my keys down now, I can imagine, and it could be whatever you want, but I'll give you a few options. Imagine a huge bouquet of red roses popping out of your keys. Maybe 100 red roses. Can you picture that?
Okay.
100 red roses popping out of your keys on your coffee table. So later when it's like, where are my keys? This mental image comes, 100 red roses popping out of my keys. It's a very strong, vivid, colorful, action-packed image of your keys, of where your keys are. Now you could be, I just said roses because I like roses. It could be a genie popping out of your keys. It could be a bomb blowing up. I don't like that one because I'm in Israel, but it could be anything that talks to you, some image that is going to make you remember where you put stuff. And you can use it over and over. Now, then people say to me, well, how do I remember if this was today or yesterday or the day before, right? Or like, so let's say with you taking your medicine, it's also, I'll do that example soon also. So our brains have this amazing filter system, like a sensor system, where what we don't need, it's gone. It filters out. It filters out whatever we don't need. Like when I teach the memory process, at every stage of the memory process is like a little garbage can where stuff is like, whatever you don't need is gone. So I don't need to remember that I took my medicine 30 days ago or 20 days ago or 10 days ago, right? That's gone. But today, I know I took my medicine because I remember where I was when I took it. I even remember what time I took it because it was actually a different time than usual. Usually I take it at the same time, and today it was different because of my schedule. So, so you can use your power of visualization to remember everything, where you put stuff, whether you did stuff or not. With medicine, let's just take that example because this is an example that comes up a lot, whether you took your medicine. So a lot of people have pill boxes, but if you don't or won't or doesn't work, again, senses. Look at the pills. What color are they? What do they taste like? Most of them don't have a taste, but some are bitter, some do. When it goes down your throat, when you take a drink and swallow your pills, feel it going down your throat just for 2 seconds. That sensation will stay with you. So it's feeling it, it's looking at the colors, it's even thinking like, what are they for? And just saying stuff, that's for that, that's for that, that's for that. And then afterwards saying, I have now taken my medicine. And for people that obviously that take a lot of medicine, pill boxes are a good idea. Just saying for people that either don't take a lot of medicine or want to use their brains to remember, because we like to do that. It's good to use your brain, use it or lose it. So that's also just another way that you can remember that you took your medicine. Using your senses is very powerful. We say that when we use 2 senses to encode a memory, you have about a 10% chance of remembering it. When you use 4 senses to encode it, you have a 97% chance of remembering it. So you have as you use more and more senses, your chances of remembering go up. Very powerful, easy technique. Use your senses. So it could, and then sometimes smell and taste are relevant, sometimes they're not. So for example, cooking, right? If you're cooking something and you turn off the stove, then you'll stop smelling it, right? Like it will sort of stop simmer and you won't smell it cooking as much. That's where smell could come in. Also, when you're cooking and you want to remember that you turned off the stove, move the pot, take the pot and move it to another flame. It's an action, it's kinesthetic. You're going to remember that you actually did something, that you moved the pot. Again, you're not on the phone when you're turning off your stove, because if you're on the phone and you're turning off your stove, you have very little chance of remembering that you turned off the stove or oven. Okay. If you're on your phone when you are closing your door, locking your door, where's your head? Your head is on the phone. Your hands are locking the door, and there's no connection between the two if you are not mindful and centered. So let's talk about mindful. Any questions so far? Otherwise, I'll go on to mindfulness.
I love this idea of like focus, and I think give ourselves the nanoseconds to focus. Like I remember, for me at least, I used to put my credit card. I was on like paying on the cashier, and it seemed like a long line behind me. So I just took the credit card and put it back in my pocket, and not put it back in my wallet. And then changing jackets or whatever, I used to lose credit cards all the time. And now I'm like, no, I will put my credit card back, and I don't care if there's a long line behind me. It's like, this is for me, and I need to focus, and this is what I'm going to do. And I find like a lot of things, like when I start giving myself the nanoseconds, because it's really not that much longer to actually focus, I'm focused. I was going to say I'm not forgetting things, but you said in the beginning, it's not a memory thing, it's a focus thing. So now I'm focused, and I'm giving myself the extra seconds to do it.
Yes. That's a good example. I like that. Yeah. And don't put your credit card down. People tend to put stuff down like but when you're shopping, like either on the shelf right where you pay or on the, what's it called, conveyor belt. Don't put stuff down. Once you put it down, you're gonna get a phone call or someone's gonna distract you and you're gonna forget that you put it down, and then you're gonna walk out of the store without it. Like, that's how those things happen. Just don't put it down. That's what I tell people, don't put it down. I'm always picking up people's phones behind them and saying, you forgot your phone. Just don't put it down. Mindfulness.
And there's also, just to go back, there's also like little things that you can do, like, so that for myself, I put my key on a retractable piece of on my wallet, so like I just don't separate it, so it's always attached, so like I'm not to forget that. So there's, never mind the focus, there's also little devices that we can use.
Yeah, I have a whole list of written, auditory, and environmental cues that we can use to remember different things. I have a whole list of these. I accumulate. I learn from every time I teach my course, I learn more and more different cute ideas of what you could do to remember things. But really the bottom line cause, and we're calling it brain fog or memory loss, but when we're talking about focus, it's really a matter of not being mindful, right? If I say to you, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast, and I'm 45 or 50 years old, it's probably not that I didn't remember, right? It's probably that I was reading while I was eating. I was thinking about something else. I was listening to something. I was watching something. Or I was talking to someone, right? If I was doing any of those things while eating breakfast, then I might not remember what I ate for breakfast. Now, there are more serious memory issues, and it doesn't always have to do with age, but oftentimes it does. So if someone's 80 and they can never remember what they ate, that's obviously a more serious concern. So when it gets to be more pervasive, again, it's not just about age, but when it becomes more pervasive, when the person cannot be independent anymore, cannot do for themselves, other people are noticing, or it's impairing their daily functioning. That's the criteria. Any of those things, you start to worry more about a memory issue. But if it is impeding my daily functioning, so if I can no longer make it to an appointment on time because I can't find my keys, then that's not just like I misplaced my keys or I don't remember where I put them. If I cannot get out the door to an appointment because I cannot find my keys, and that's happening over and over, that's serious. Or if I'm driving, once in a while we daydream and we miss the exit, that's normal. It's not normal to be driving and say, I'm not really sure which exit to take to get home. That's not normal. Or it's normal to forget a part of an experience. So for example, I remember I went to the wedding last week, but I don't remember what I was wearing. That might be normal. It is not normal to forget the entire experience. Like if I say to you, I don't recall being at that wedding last week at all, that's more worrisome. So there's differences between normal and abnormal memory loss. So that's important to tease out. And I just encourage anyone that's worried, you can get a memory assessment, go to a geriatric doctor, go to a neurologist, and try to find the causes. Sometimes there are other causes. I didn't mention this, but toxins are another cause for brain fog and memory loss. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what the toxins are, but there's definitely studies and research on that. So there's so many things that could be causing the brain fog. But what I always like to look at first is, this is the easy, like when you deal with focus, this is an easy way to help us be more productive, help us function better by stop multitasking, using your senses and being more mindful. So the mindful is that I'm here, like I am present. I'm present in what I'm doing. So when I'm eating breakfast, I'm mindfully eating breakfast. A, I'll eat less. B, I'll enjoy my food more. And C, I'll remember what I ate. So it's not reading the newspaper, which a lot of people are used to doing while they eat. But if you want to be mindful and remember that you ate and enjoy your food, I actually suggest not doing anything else. Now, as we get older, we're getting a little bit more ADD, as I mentioned earlier, which means that like it's hard for us to like just sit still and not do a million things at once. But that's back to the multitasking. And it also is a function of slowing down a little bit. Like at some point we have to slow down a little and say, not everything's urgent. Not everything has to happen right now. And because when you try to do too much like that at one time, you end up forgetting things. And sometimes it's important, sometimes it's not important. So it's the mindfulness piece is very important. It brings mindfulness brings your awareness to where you are. It makes you feel present, and it's calming, and it also makes you focus on what you're doing. So things that help us with mindfulness are that deep breathing, meditation, yoga helps us practice mindfulness so that we can do it more easily. Some people have a hard time with that.
It's also when I talk to people who I work with, we talk about making a schedule. And I think that helps with the mindfulness and the focus. Like, I know how much time I'm going to dedicate to this. Sometimes it takes more time, sometimes it takes less time, but you know what you're planning to do that day. So I think it takes away some of the stress, and it also increases the focus and the mindfulness of what you're supposed to be doing now.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And when you're not always looking for your keys and pocketbook and glasses, it also takes away the stress and the anxiety that you feel when A, you can't find your stuff, and B, you feel worried about yourself. So that's self-doubt and anxiety that goes with, did I lock my door? Did I not lock my door? We can take care of that very easily with the techniques I mentioned by practicing that. And I'll tell you a funny story that happened, and I understood exactly what happened here. I was making lasagna. I always tell this story. I was making lasagna in the kitchen. I was talking to my sister on the phone. And lasagna does not really take that much cognition to make. It's pretty easy, right? Your hands make lasagna. I was talking on the phone. Later that day, like a little while later, my husband called to me. I had left the kitchen. He called to me from the kitchen and said, Rena, are you going crazy? And I'm like, I don't know, I might be, but what are you asking? And he's like, well, I found the open marinara sauce in the closet and not in the fridge. Like, right. I know that when we open marinara sauce, we put it in the fridge afterwards. I was like, so I started laughing, and I was like, right. I was on the phone with your sister when I was making lasagna, and my hand just put it away in the closest closet. My brain was not at all attached to that task. I immediately understood what was going on. I knew that I was concentrating on the phone conversation and my hands were making lasagna. But when it came to thinking what to do with this open marinara sauce, I was like, that didn't happen in my brain. It went into the closet where it wasn't supposed to be. So a lot of times we have examples like that and people get very worried. And like I say, I'm not saying it's never a time to worry, but in general, it's usually a matter of multitasking or not paying attention to what you are doing, not being mindful. And it's very easily remedied by some of these techniques.
So instead of worrying, what we're saying is first ask ourselves, were we focusing? Were we mindful?
Yes.
But then, okay, the keys are missing. So is there like a way to kind of retrace our steps, try to figure out like where they might actually be?
Yeah. So you're asking recall now. It's a recall question. So yeah. So the keys are missing. You didn't pay attention to what you were doing. You don't know where they are. What should you do? Right. Okay. So recall. So the first thing is you breathe, take a deep breath, because we panic. And when we panic, we cannot think straight. So the first thing you always need to do is take a deep breath. And then sometimes that's enough. Sometimes a few deep breaths is enough. Oh, I got it. You calm down. Your brain can think straight. I know where they are. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't though. So then you need to, like you said, either retrace your steps, or what I would say is search your memory bank for any contextual cues that are going to help you remember. So it's like, when did I last go out? Oh, it was 3 hours ago. Where did I go? I went to the bank. Okay. And I came back. Did I park in the garage? I did. I parked in the garage. When I came from the garage, where would I put the keys? Now, maybe I'm thinking, you know what? I don't remember putting the keys down. Guess what? The keys are still in the car. Go look in the car. So what did I just do? I retraced my steps, but I basically searched my memory bank for any contextual cues that are going to help me remember. So again, there are a lot of pieces. Sometimes you park in the garage, sometimes you don't. Sometimes, but this has happened to people that they leave the keys in the car. It happens all the time to some people. Some people that have done it overnight, and thank God their cars were there the next day.
And there was still gas in the car.
You what?
The ones left the car on.
Oh, all night?
Well, all work day, so it's almost all night.
Wow. Yeah, so it's about searching your memory bank for anything that can help you remember. So again, you could use your senses. If you can't remember where you went or what you did, think senses, think hearing, seeing, what were you touching? Well, were you with kids? This is an example. People still have young kids. Unfortunately, this happens a lot, that people forget kids in the car. So of course, there's a lot of technology that has come out that Yad Sarah came out with something, and a lot of different organizations came out with these, all sorts of gimmicks so you don't leave your kid in the car. But what is it? it's people didn't forget their kid was in the car. They were on the phone. They were thinking about something else. They were totally not mindful, because if you're mindful, then you know there's a kid in the car. I'm not blaming and shaming. I'm just saying, I'm trying to explain why it happens. They're just totally not present. They're totally not mindful. They just, right? Obviously their brain is somewhere else. And it's distraction. It's just total distraction to be able to leave a kid in the car. And it's another reason why a lot of times, this is a cute trick, is people say, if you have a kid in the car, put your cell phone in the back with a kid, because people don't get out of the car without their cell phone, right? But they'll forget the kid. So put your cell phone in the back with the kid. I mean, what I tell people to do also is just get very used to checking your car before you get out of it. Just always look in the back and see if there's anything you left. Even like, or if you go to a show or a workshop or a lecture, just always check your seat to see if you left your pocketbook or your glasses. Always look around, just being mindful and present of your surroundings, so that if you left anything, you'll see it. But if you just get up and walk away, right, you're not checking your surroundings, you could leave something there. So the same thing, it's just get into the habit of like looking in the back every time you get out of the car, or before you lock the car. Again, you can't be on your cell phone, right? If you're on your cell phone, you're not doing any of this. And people can say, but Rena, I need to talk on my cell phone. Great, but then you're not going to be mindful, you're not going to be centered, and you're not going to remember what you're doing. So you need to choose when you're going to be on the phone. You can't always be on the phone.
I think what also comes out is when you're not in your own home, so you're not in your regular place. Like I was recently in a hotel and I left my hotel key in my hotel in the room. And so I had to go back downstairs to get another key, to go back up. I actually noticed it because I left my phone, not because I left my key. I left my phone. I went in the elevator to start doing nothing, and I forgot my phone. So then I realized I forgot my key. So I had to go back down. So I think that it's even harder when you're not in your regular structure. Yes. So what can we do to kind of get more mindful, especially when we're not in our regular zone?
Yeah, we're definitely more disoriented. And so the same thing that I just said, I would look around. Like when I leave my hotel room, before I leave, I would look around and say, do I have everything I need? And what do I need? Before I even leave my hotel room, I'd be like, okay, what do I need to take with me? Do I need tissues and a key and my cell phone? You're just stopping and thinking. It's really, again, being present and mindful. What do I need to take with me when I leave my room, my car, my house, anything? There's a cute acronym that you can use when you leave your house. You can think, for those of you that understand Hebrew, you can think gemach, right? Gimel, mem, ches. Gimel stands for gas. So did I turn off the gas in my house? Before you leave your house, you're thinking these three things. Gas, did I turn it off? Mem is mafteach, is key. Did I take my key with me? Did I lock my door? Ches is chashmal. Did I turn off the lights, the air conditioning, the heat, whatever has to be turned off? So you think the word gemach, which is a word that we pretty much know, and it stands for gimel mem ches. Gas, mafteach, chashmal. And before you leave your house, you say gemach. Did I do gas, mafteach, chashmal? It's just a cute acronym that makes you be more mindful, stop and think before you leave your house. Did you do what you wanted to do before you leave your house?
I saw this thing in the midlife humor. It's like, instead of head, shoulders, knees, and toes, you go like something with my pockets, like I forget what they were, but it was that same idea that, I remember to take whatever it was that I needed to take.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw that once also.
So I think that there's so much that we can do. I think it's about slowing down a little bit. I think we could slow down even earlier, but definitely at this stage, I think that it kind of catches up with us at this stage. From what I'm hearing from you and from what I've read, it's not necessarily a real cognitive issue. It's really slowing down a little bit and being more mindful. I think our work got even busier now and more rushed, so that we feel more pronounced now, but it may not even be more pronounced now than it really was before.
Exactly. And that's what in most cases, it's not a serious issue, but there are some cases of early onset Alzheimer's. If someone's concerned about that, go to a doctor. Like if you're seeing really serious issues, again, I'm not saying to ignore stuff, but there's a difference between just being overloaded, multitasking, and then a real serious, like people that have early onset, they really can't function. They forget, they start not to be able to recognize the people around them. Obviously, that's much more serious. But again, anyone who's concerned should go for an assessment and check it out.
This is really helpful. Some very practical tools. You said that you have other things, and I think you have a website and you have some workshops coming up. So you want to mention those?
Yeah, I do. I have a website. It's my name. It's renayudkowsky.com. And on my website, you'll see I have some blogs you can read that are quite interesting about different things about memory. I have some videos you can watch, short videos. I have a course I'm teaching actually starting this Wednesday. It's part 2 of my signature course, but you don't have to have done part 1. And it's basically 4 sessions where I'm going to be talking about all the lifestyle factors to age more healthfully. So we're going to talk about diet and exercise and sleep, the things we mentioned. But I'm going to pull out the research, say what we should do about it. And I'm actually bringing in 2 expert interviews, a doctor, an anti-aging doctor, and a personal coach to talk about exercise. So it's 4 sessions. We're starting this Wednesday. If you're interested in hearing more, you could go to my website and click on the banner that says signature course and look at part 2. I also have a membership called Remembership, and that's available anytime. And you do it, it's sort of like a self-paced thing. Every week you get a short video. It's a 3-month membership. You get a short video every week, a brain exercise, you do it whenever you want. And then once a month, we have a live coaching call. And I also have a lot of people ask me about how to remember names. Names is a big thing. So I have a masterclass called You Name It, and that's a 2-part masterclass. I hope to run that again live soon. So if you're not on my email list, please just go to my website and join my email list. You'll get a freebie checklist of how you know whether your memory loss is normal or abnormal. I mentioned some of those things today here. You'll get that. And then I'll let you know whenever I'm running different things live. But for this week, we have this part 2 of the course coming up. And I also have a monthly brain exercise thing, which is really fun. If you want to just come once a month, 45 minutes, hop on and do brain exercise with me. It's the first Monday of the month. So we're actually doing that tomorrow. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Israel, called Monday Memory Motivation. You can also get to that from my website. There's a big banner. There's a banner for Monday Memory Motivation, a banner for membership, and a banner for the signature course.
And so I'll put all that in the show notes because I think that people can find it easier that way.
Yeah, it's just my website. It's very easy. It's my name.com, RenaYudkowsky.com.
So Rena, thank you so much. This has been very interesting. I think very practical.
My pleasure.
The idea is slow down and be mindful. And then of course, if someone has a real issue, to really address it.
Yeah.
But for many of us, at least earlier, the younger we are, the less likely that it's really dementia or the beginning of dementia. It's more likely our lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And for anyone else who has any other topics or questions, or someone that you know that we can interview and bring up to everybody else, please let us know. We are going to be talking to someone about sleep in the next few weeks, about different work options, and talking to different people about different changes that they've done in their lives. So I'm really excited about what's coming up in the next few weeks. And thank you, everybody. And thank you, Rena.
You're welcome.
It's a wonderful week, month, and thank you.
Thank you for joining me in another fascinating conversation about midlife. If you'd like to reach me, Devora Krasnianski, to talk about your midlife or anything else, you can reach me at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website, jewishmidlife.com, and follow us on Jewish Midlife on Instagram or Facebook, and join our conversations in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. And share what we're doing with your friends and others in the midlife phase.